I thought I wanted to be an animator, and nothing against animators, but I realized I'd have to draw the same picture a lot, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to draw one picture. I wanted to be creative and build things that were imaginary and fantastic, and concept art really allows you to do that. My name is Brandon Reimchen, and I'm the head of department for concept art and illustration here at CG Spectrum. My background in concept art started with a degree in fine arts, and then I went straight into video games to be a QA tester. And I wanted to get my foot in the door in video games to become a concept artist. It took a couple years, but I eventually became a junior concept artist, and I started working on Crash Bandicoot games. I worked on Prototype. This was all underneath the banner of Activision. And I went on to move to various studios over the years. So my career spanned over 20 years plus now, and I continue to make more artwork, but this time we're teaching instead of just making artwork. So the DigiPaint programs at CG Spectrum, we've split them into two different, basically the program forks from a foundation course, which will teach you a lot about the asset production pipeline and foundational skills up into intermediate skills, at which point you can choose to go into a career track for concept art specifically, where we focus on asset production in concept art, or you can go into illustration, which is something that is more customer facing, where you build the illustrations that the customer sees at the very end. Maybe that's a book cover or card art, versus concept art, which is really just for the team, where a modeler would take your design and build it, or a surfacing artist would know what materials to add to a model, or certain posing for animators, that kind of thing. We do also have a beginner course for those candidate students that are needing to brush up on their basic drawing skills. That's essential for you to have an easier time throughout the rest of our program. So we really set people up to succeed. My teaching philosophy tends to focus on the fundamentals first. We can get into intermediate and advanced principles and techniques a lot of the time, but if you don't have a firm foundation in, say, perspective or anatomy, then it doesn't matter how complex we get, your artwork isn't going to land very well. It's certainly not going to be something that people take seriously in a portfolio. So it's making sure that you spend a lot of time practicing. I think that's one of the biggest things people are surprised about when they come into education at schools like CG Spectrum, is that we'll teach you the right way to do things, but it's a lot of heavy lifting on the student's end, but we're there to support you. So once we're able to establish what your deficiencies are, we're able to dig in and work on those things as we move through the content. So it's really about support. It's really about identifying the issues per person and per artist, so we can help them get better. We want to focus on what excites them about creating concept art. There's a lot of different assets and projects and stylizations that you can focus on, and different parts of the industry that support that. So it's a big part of what we do is focusing on the individual's goals, and everybody's different, and we try and support that as best we can with anecdotal storytelling from the industry, from a variety of different mentors, as well as guiding them in the best way towards their goals. We've had a multitude of students over the years go through this whole process and achieve success. One of my students, she at one point really struggled and considered if she was even good at doing this, and I definitely helped her understand that making artwork is hard, and becoming a professional artist is harder, and that she just needs to keep her head down and work hard. And she took that to heart, and she did that, and she went through all of our programs. She continued to practice, and she recently had her first professional freelance contract, where she's making artwork for one of the biggest companies in the world. So she did it through perseverance, and a part of that came from not giving up. And so that's a big thing that we get our mentors to do here at CG Spectrum is really support the individuals and help them understand that it is tough. Now I'm going to walk you through one example of a student work that I would classify as a more advanced piece of concept art and talk a little bit about what makes it successful. So this particular student project really represents a student who has come to understand a lot of the more advanced techniques in terms of how to present a concept design. One of the major things with concept art is to communicate visually, right? We can understand things by looking at them. We don't need an artist statement to accompany the work, so we know what they meant because we're visual communicators. And so this student has done a really good job in representing this piece, and part of that comes from understanding anatomy, perspective, and lighting. Okay, and so as we go through the more complex techniques and principles of developing concept art, you will start to understand some nuances on how to draw attention to certain aspects of a design. In this case, the contrast, the lights and the darks, and the color saturations and accent draw us a lot to the character's face, which we would call a primary focal point. And it's important to have a hierarchy in artwork so that you don't look at something and are completely confused as to what it is you're looking at. We want to basically curate an experience for somebody, walk them through to the first place, then the second place, and then the last places in the piece. And I mean, there's bits of feedback in terms of, say anatomical structures that were provided. And so we still, even at this level, work with these students that are, at the more advanced level to make sure that the pieces are bulletproof by the end. But it's really a great example of where you can get to with a piece, and definitely something that I would say, if I were looking into a portfolio, I would say is junior artist material, where I would seriously consider hiring someone if I saw a body of work that was at this level. What sets CG Spectrum apart from other schools is our smaller class sizes and our close support of the students in their development. And that's from the mentors, that's from our teaching assistants, that's from our awesome online community, and the support that everybody provides to everybody else. And so in other schools, you'll get a mentor maybe giving you some passing feedback on how to make an environment or something like that. But our school looks at it from a holistic standpoint, where we don't just teach you one thing or how to create this particular piece of artwork. We teach you broader scale approaches to be able to create environment art or props or characters and creatures, all of it. And we've actually had students come in from universities where they've told us that they've learned more in a few months than in years of practice at major universities. So I'm pretty proud of that, proud to hear that we're having that impact on students. New students, when they come in, sometimes you can see they're a little bit shocked that, it does take work. But as with anything, if you were to be a pilot, if you were to be a surgeon, right, you'd have to do a lot of hours. So, and you'd want a pilot to be spending a lot of hours when they fly a commercial jetliner. We don't do anything that serious and potentially dangerous, but it's the same idea.